my mom passed away in March of 2019. 2 weeks later, we're at her funeral. I'm literally putting my mom into the ground, and that night, that very evening, I should say, after I leave the funeral, I get a text or a Instagram notification from people on Instagram saying, tagging me and saying, Irv Gotti is looking for you. Irv Gotti is looking for you. Everyone was at AC Sweet Music. This is him. This is him. And I'm like, what's happening? And I go on, and Irv had made this huge post on his Instagram about whoever this guy named Michael Payton. Somebody needs to find him. He made this unauthorized documentary about me. But listen, y'all, it's good, and I want to work with him.
Wow.
And we connected that night. We started talking. We're texting.
You connected with Irv Gotti the night that you buried your mother?
That night. Yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome to Inside Out Podcast Season 2. I'm your host, Yamoria Wright. The intention of this podcast is to enrich your life with behind the scenes interviews and conversations from thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and creators about how they live their lives from the inside out. Enjoy.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Inside Out Podcast. Listen, if you are not subscribing, make sure you subscribe. If you are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, or Amazon Music, make sure you follow, hit the heart, comment, no matter where, comment. We gotta continue the conversation of everything we're talking about here on Inside Out Podcast Season 2. All right, without further ado, I have here with me in the studio, Michael J. Payton.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Are you happy to be here, Michael?
I really am. I've been waiting. I've watched every episode, and I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, thank you for supporting the podcast. For those of you who may not know who Michael J. Payton is, he won't like the sound of that, but that's okay. We're going to make sure that you know who he is by the end of this episode.
All three of y'all.
All right. Michael J. Payton is a filmmaker, entrepreneur, and founder of C-Suite Music. Michael attended San Francisco State University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in media communications and African American studies. He received his master's in media culture communication at NYU Steinhardt. In 2017, Michael was appointed as an executive fellow in the office of California Governor Jerry Brown, where he contributed his filmmaking skills and distinct storytelling approach to bolster and showcase the state's volunteering efforts. In 2022, Michael directed and produced a 5-part network TV docuseries titled The Murder, Inc. Story, which aired on BET. Y'all, welcome Michael J. Payton again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Michael, where are you from?
I'm from all over. I'm from Earth. No, I'm from Oakland, California.
I was like, I asked you that specifically because I wanted to claim the Bay and as a Baydestrian myself. Although y'all play us, y'all act like San Jose isn't the Bay sometimes, and we don't really appreciate.
San Jose is the Bay. San Jose is the Bay.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 8. I was like, this episode's over.
No, I respect it. No, I was born and raised in Oakland, California. I lived all around the Bay. I lived in Antioch. Shout out to Antioch. Lived in Richmond, California. I grew up all over. I'm a Bay boy. I went to school in San Francisco State University. So I'm Bay boy, but I'm an LA boy now because I live out here.
LA boy.
Listen, no, I'm an LA boy.
That is not to our native LA folks. It's just sometimes a transplant men are difficult. Yeah. Okay, so Michael, early childhood, talk to us about who you were.
Early childhood.
Yeah, were you, because you're kind of you're around, but I also feel like I have a lot of elusive people. I'm throwing this word out this season. I feel like you have a footprint, but you also seem like you're a little bit to yourself. So what was your childhood like?
My childhood was, before I get into that, I want to say something at the top, at the very top. I want to give you your flowers.
Oh.
Because like I said, I've been watching your journey. We got to talk about how we met and how we all came together. But your journey, just watching you grow and seeing you with this platform is incredible. For y'all don't know, this is one of the hardest working people in.
That's your camera right there.
Well, I want to talk to everybody, but this is one of the hardest working people in the business that I've ever met, and I just respect your grind. I respect your hustle and everything that you do. You inspire me to work even harder because you put it down. You really do put it down. We're gonna talk about Soul Canvas and all the stuff you got going on, but yeah, I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael.
What was the question again?
Who are you? Well, yeah, who was you as a kid, little Michael?
I was an only child, so yeah, I'm definitely was a lot to myself, in my head a lot. I've always been creative. You've been forced to be creative because being an only child and growing up poor, you don't have anything but your creativity to play with, right? And so I was always, whether it was drawing, whether it was creating stories with my action figures, and then it turned into me making music down the road, and writing and producing music, and then making videos. I was always just in my head.
Were you trying to, at an early age, were you ever trying to see yourself out of your circumstances? Were you very aware of them?
Oh, yeah. No, from an early age, from a very, very early age, I realized that I don't like to use the word, when I say the word poor, I mean by our standards here, because obviously I had more than most, right? And so I don't want to act like we were, homeless or anything, but, growing up in a household where it's a single parent household, we're in the hood, we don't have everything that we need, to make it in this world. And I looked to TV and I looked at the radio, and I was seeing these characters, from an early age. It was Power Rangers, then it was pro wrestling, and then as I became, my teens, it was hip hop, and I was seeing people who looked like me, thriving, being celebrated, having a platform, having a voice, and they were still them. They weren't corny. They weren't, well, now I realize a lot of them were corny, but at the time, they were, they were like my superheroes. Like, so that's what I wanted to be from an early age. So I'm going to be somehow, some shape, form, or fashion, I'm going to be involved in this culture. And, it's been a long journey, but here I am.
Were you looking for a male role model in them? Is that why you really gravitated?
Oh, yeah. I got to give a shout out to my pops. My pops was my first role model, right? But, as life happens, we start getting further and further apart as I got a little, in my teens. And so, yeah, you start looking to the Jay-Z's, you start looking to the folks that you see on the music videos. Right. And it's like, that's what I have to be. And it was it was an interesting thing because I was always a quote unquote smart kid, right? I was always the kid that got, excellent marks in school. And everyone told me how smart I was, but that wasn't appealing to me. What was appealing to me is I wanted to have the money. I wanted to have the girls. I wanted to have the cars. And that, like any young man, right, at that age. 12,
is that what
13,
all young men want?
When you're young.
Why is that what y'all want?
That's because I think that's what's taught to us. It is what, as in this society, men are, we are expected to be providers, right? I think by nature and by society, we're expected to be providers, to be, to have money, to be able to go out there, hunt, and bring back the bacon, so to speak, for the family. So I think, when you look at our neighborhoods, in our black and brown neighborhoods, I think that gets convoluted a little bit. And so it turns into a very extreme form of that. So I got to get all the money, forgetting the fact that it's about taking care of your family, taking care of your community. It then becomes about a status symbol. So, but when you're 12 years old, you're not processing that. You're just saying, oh, that guy is cool. He has money. He has, bling and all this other stuff. And
bling, he just dated himself.
I know. That was the thing. That was the thing when I was growing up.
It was when I was growing up too. I'm just saying. But no, in case y'all was wondering if he's in his 20s, he's not.
Yeah. Don't let this baby face fool you. I'm old.
Michael, I want to ask though, don't you think that pressure is eating away at black men and black and brown men in particular? Because you're talking about a demographic where the men with status or accomplishment, at least as we were growing up, were seen as these men who had things. Yeah. And isn't the chasing of things breaking people down in a lot of ways, breaking men down?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there was a time when it was a necessary evil, right? It was a time. I think that was okay. Now I'm starting to think that, okay, well, what is it? Mm-hmm. Like what are we working for as men? What are we doing?
Right.
As I see my black and brown brothers out here, and it's a lot of us doing our thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of brothers doing their thing, really. But there's also a culture of, okay, so you're getting money, just to go buy some shoes,
exactly,
and look cute on Instagram. So you're basically, you're not. That's not what a man is. Like, mm-hmm. That's not what a man, like, by, again, social, our mm-hmm. social definition of what historical manhood is. But you're claiming to be this and that, and you're hard, but you're really you just want to look cute for the gram,
right.
And or you want to be seen. You're not actually providing for your community. You're not providing for your family. You're not, hustling for something bigger than yourself. It's about getting some sneakers, playing video games, and feeding your ego. And I think that's where we're bumping our heads in our community a little bit.
Okay, I hear you. So let's fast forward. Sean Carter Foundation scholar. How did you come upon that opportunity?
Well, I mean, it's hard just to jump to that. To get back to it a little bit, mm-hmm. to give some context, I was a hip hop artist from the age of 12, like literally from the age of 12 until, very recently, maybe a few years back. I was in music. I've been in the business forever. So I studied Jay-Z. I studied all the moguls, all the business through and through. Mm-hmm. So I knew everything that everyone had. I knew when it was time for me to apply to college that, Jay-Z has a scholarship.
Okay, because you had studied them.
I've studied his moves, and as someone who aspired to be a businessman and who wanted to be in this business, who's better than watching Jay, mm-hmm. right? And I knew that at an early age. So everything I did, I wanted to be in that air. I wanted to be in that space. And so, yeah, when it came time for me to apply for college, which, by the way, I got I got rejected from every school that I applied to.
Oh, really? Except SF State?
Except SF State.
I got rejected from every school I applied to except Santa Clara.
Wow.
Yeah, and I interviewed. Wow. I didn't know how far I got with Harvard until it took many years. I mean, maybe 5-6 years, because they actually interviewed me. They came and they had their rep here, or not here, in the Bay.
Yeah.
And they interviewed me, and I didn't care about Harvard school. I cared about Harvard.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. Like, I was like, I wouldn't have fit into the school's culture. I was just like, oh, what about this? And he was just kind of looking at me, asking me questions about my trajectory, because I was a poli-sci major, and my trajectory to go into law. And all I cared about was like, what kind of art things can I do? You know what I mean? Anyways, going back though. So that's the only school you got into.
But that's a great point though, because I applied to Stanford, mm-hmm. I applied to USC. And I applied to NYU. NYU is really where I wanted to go. Oh. The Tisch School of Music. It was the Clive Davis School of Music Business at Tisch. And so, because I wanted to be in New York at the time, New York was where. This shows you how old I am. At the time, New York was like the mecca of the music business. It's still, it's still there, but it's not what it once was. But I wanted to be in New York. I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to be in the business. Got rejected from every school, including NYU.
Wow.
Crushed my heart. Mm-hmm. But fast forwarding, during that time when I was still applying for colleges, I was also applying for scholarships. One of the places I applied to was the Sean Carter Foundation. And, I was so dejected at that point when I did finally accept going to SF State. Mm-hmm. That I was just, I was like, I'll just do it, but I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. But then I got a letter in the mail from the family. This is back when they were still doing snail mail. Mm-hmm. Letter in the mail.
Is that not how they give letters anymore for things?
I think they do everything on email now.
Oh, dang. It's so much better in the mail.
I missed that moment to open the envelope and the anticipation, but
they sure send you bills still in the mail.
They definitely do that.
Go ahead.
But yeah, no, so when I learned that I was a Sean Carter scholar, that gave me an enormous amount of like, okay, I'm at least. So maybe all these other historically, Ivy Leagues, whatever you want to call them, maybe they don't see my greatness. But
Jay-Z's,
but Jay-Z's people do.
Yeah.
And that gave me a boost. And and we can. That's a whole nother conversation.
Y'all,
about why.
so fun fact, Michael thinks he's the one controlling this conversation. He keeps trying to tell me, so we're going to do this. And I'm like noting this is the second time he done told me where we're going.
I'm so used to actually interviewing people.
Yeah.
So yeah, this.
Because he's a documentary, filmmaker. He's a documentarian.
I've interviewed so many people that I'm so used to being like the one driving. But you don't want the girls coming for you now. Hey, listen.
I'm trying to protect you.
Hey,
but I have a woman fan base for this podcast.
That's fine.
Y'all don't come from Michael. He's really nice. He really respects women.
Come for me if you want.
He asked you to do it. All right, but I want to. You said something, and the SF State magazine. You're speaking with journalist Matt Idelson, I believe. Matt, that's not how I pronounce your last name. Might forgive me. You said commuting from Antioch, Payton would arrive on campus early in the morning and stay as late as possible. He was active in the Black Student Union and was the general manager of the student radio station KSFS and booked shows at the Depot. His weekly Turn Up at the Depot event allowed student rappers, including himself, DJs, and bands to perform alongside notable artists. He was having the time of his life and recorded an EP titled 19th and Holloway. What's 19th and Holloway? Like, what's that? Why 19th and Holloway?
Well, that was the street that the school was located at.
Okay.
So that was the address of the school. So
okay.
That was one of the projects. I've done many projects, but that was actually my last real musical project, and that was in 2016 or 15, I think.
That's not that long ago, all things considered.
In today's world, that's almost.
I mean, well, what it is that your career sped up.
Yeah.
But for when you it's the timeline of your career and the pace that makes it seem like a long time ago. But in all things considered, it isn't that long ago that you were doing that at SF State. So at SF State, you were obviously people knew you as a rapper.
Yeah. Well, people knew me as a rapper and a director.
And a director.
I was making and directing music videos for myself at first, and then I guess I must have been okay at it because folks started coming up to me asking me to do their videos, and so I was kind of known for both. And
were you studying filmmaking, or were you just picking up a camera?
Not really. I was really just. I mean, I was a Becca. Sorry, what SF State people know what Becca is.
Yeah, who is she?
Becca is a broadcast electronic communication and arts.
Okay.
So that's it's radio and television broadcasting. Okay. So obviously I was I had my hands on audio court classes and some camera classes, but I didn't remember none of that shit.
Okay.
I mean, can we curse here?
You could curse here. Sometimes, this podcast, sometimes we real Christian here, but he just said a curse word.
Yeah, well,
Christians be.
No, but I was kind of just I was really self-taught, when it comes to the camera work, the editing. And so I became, I think people really, really appreciated my filmmaking skills. What I stopped rapping, to be honest with you, is during that same period, I was, again, remember, I was making music since I was 12 years old. So, I was always into the type of music like the folks that had something to say. Right. And so I was one of those artists that had something to say. And it was getting nowhere, honestly. And
nobody was listening to you.
No one was listening at all. And it wasn't,
But you were good at it.
I think I was good. People would say, "Oh, you can rap." But I
was too positive.
Yeah, I go perform shows, and I had songs like I remember one song I had called it was called Black Queen, and I sampled the Isley Brothers. I think it was a really beautiful. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but it's things like that. And remember, I'm in the Black Student Union. I'm involved in all these cultural things, and maybe looking back, maybe it just wasn't good. I don't know, but. It just never resonated. Like folks were like, hey, good song, but when you go to perform it, people are kind of just staring around like, okay, yeah, good song. And then the folks will come on and do the
yassa dabba doo, dabba dabba doo. It was like, hey, yassa dabba doo, dabba dabba doo doo.
So I made a record. I said one day, man, fuck that. I'm gonna get on the radio. And so I made a record that was and maybe I'll send it to you and so you can add it to the edit. But it was. in hindsight, it wasn't like crazy, but for me, it was not. It was out of character. It was slightly out of character. I was using the B word, which I never do. In my natural, I don't. In my natural.
No, I'm laughing because I can't imagine you like, and I also like younger Michael trying to be like, yeah, bitch.
Yeah, it was. It was a good record.
Okay.
It was a good record,
Okay.
but it was just it was not me. I was not being totally true to myself, and. It took off. The song actually took off. Like, played on the radio. It was #1 on CMC.
You think I've heard it? You think I've heard it?
You might have heard it. You might have heard it. It was a small. It wasn't like it didn't get massive, but it was top 10 on Snoop's at the time. Snoop had a video show that he was doing on YouTube. They picked it up. It was like number 5 or 6 on his countdown national. It was doing stuff, and I started to now. Okay, I made that song was a hit. Now I gotta do another one like that. Now, and before you knew it, I was becoming something that I wasn't. And what got me was when it was maybe around 2014 or so, right when Instagram was getting ready to take off. Instagram was right in this stage when it was really becoming the cultural thing to do. And I remember someone had tagged me in the video, and it was oh man, it was the young lady had to be no more than 14, 15, and she was twerking on the handstand to my song, and folks were like, "Yo, man, you going viral!" And I was like, but for me, I was like, I'm prompting someone. Whatever I'm doing is whatever vibration I'm on is making someone twerk on their hand. Listen, nothing wrong with twerking on a handstand. If you want to twerk on a handstand, twerk on a handstand.
Sometimes you just gotta twerk.
Sometimes
on a
you gotta
handstand.
do it. Listen, sometimes do what you do.
You saw a young girl,
saw a young lady,
yeah,
and I'm like, I could be telling that girl, go to school, yeah. read a book, read a book, read a book, read a book. Instead, and like instead you twerk. Like if that's, I did not want to be. I knew that I had more to offer than that. And so I'm not going to say I stopped immediately, but it was a slow kind of like, all right, this ain't really, if this is the way I got to make it in this business, then I'll find some other way. And which is when the beginning of the pivot for me, when I said, all right, let me see how can I use my skills as a storyteller. Obviously I was doing video work and dabbling into film. So, I started making these little mini documentaries and putting them on YouTube. And
was anybody watching those?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, the first documentary I made, I know all my liberal friends are gonna be mad at me, but the first are my woke friends. The first documentary I made was about Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
Because at the time it was right before she was getting ready to run for president, and so I was just very just amazed by a story of a woman who I think we all thought that she was going to be president. We all thought that she was going to it was like inevitable. And so I was like, this is an interesting, fascinating story. Somebody needs to tell this. And I love doing things outside the box.
Okay.
I don't like being stuck in the box where, oh, you're the black dude, so you have to do black people stories. You have to only do.
Well, what's wrong with being the black dude and telling black people stories?
There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Just making sure.
No, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that, but I think we can do anything that we want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
We can do absolutely anything we want to do. The next one I made was about Jay-Z. And then the next one I made after that was about Kamala Harris before she became vice president. So, we can do that's.
And you met her.
Oh yeah.
Are you filmmaking your way to manifestation? No, because I'm like, it's like whoever you did one about. You haven't met Hillary Clinton yet.
No, but someone that thing that I did, the very first documentary I did, this TV station in Japan, saw it, and they reached out, and they were doing like a expose or something on Hillary, and they reached out and they licensed that film from me to use it in their segment.
So your very first non-music video documentary film short got licensed. And then after that you did one on Jay-Z and eventually you met him. And you had already been a scholar by that point.
I was already a scholar,
And then you did one on Kamala Harris. And you met her.
Well, I met her as a result of that because I think her team saw it and they invited me to a town hall that she was doing in Oakland. So I got a chance to meet her that way. So I want to pause real quick because people,
wow, first of all, I didn't know these things about Michael. We're learning something new every day. But What would you say to people who are maybe struggling between art forms? What did you learn from then making that pivot from music and then all of a sudden doors opening up for you? What have you learned in hindsight?
Well, I think what I learned was to stop putting myself in a box.
Okay.
And I tell that to anybody. Stop putting yourself in a box. At the end of the day, I'm a creative. I'm a creative, but I'm also a businessman. I'm also a visionary. More than anything, more than I ever was a rapper, more than I ever was a producer, more than I am a director. I tell people all the time, and I think it makes some people cringe, but I'm like, I'm not a filmmaker in that traditional sense. Like I'm a visionary who knows how to put things together.
Okay.
I can put the right people in place to make something happen, but ultimately I'm a product guy. I love product. I love the end result of a song, how it makes you feel when you're watching the crowd all sing your lyrics. I love the end result of a film that touches people and that has an impact. So I think what I would tell anyone is figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Like, what is that thing at your core? Don't get caught up in the.
Can you take it to them, Michael?
No, I want to talk right to you.
Okay.
I want.
And now he's trying to direct me.
Listen,
y'all.
No, but this is important. I think
Okay.
it's, and then for everyone out there, it's important to listen to this because this is something I've learned in my career, and I'm still learning, right? But it's not to be confined by boxes. Everyone wants to put you in a box. Everyone wants to put you as you're the film guy, you're the camera guy, you're the interview. You're the lady that interviews everyone, or but you're so much more than that. You, and I know that you're a businesswoman. You are a director. You're a filmmaker. You're a content creator. You do this. You have a platform. You provide so many opportunities for people. And by the way, when we provide opportunities for everyone, it doesn't always get reciprocated. It does not always get reciprocated, right? But that in and of itself is a gift, right? So you're a giver. I'm a giver. That's what I am at my core. And so everything else is just an auxiliary of that. So there's Michael Payton, the core, and then everything else, filmmaking, there's music, there's content, there's politics and business. There's all these different things that make up who I am. So I think that's the what I would tell anyone. Just don't forget the genre, forget the names and the titles. All that stuff is cool, but it's not. That's not that. What is it that makes you tick? That's what's most important.
What is it that makes you tick? That's what's most important. And in being able, when you follow that, you're able to make pivots into other forms of expression, like you did. And then doors do open. Because
ultimately, Yamoria, what I've always cared about at my core is the liberation of my people. If we just being honest, I saw hip hop from an early age as a way, and hip hop has been problematic as AF. It's been problematic throughout. It hasn't always gotten it right. But when it has gotten it right, it's beautiful to watch, right? When you see that we came from having nothing, having the art and opportunities removed from schools, in the 70s, and we took that energy and put it into turntables and microphones and poetry and rhythm, and we created an art form. That art form became a business. That business is now an ecosystem. So that's what I care about, is what can I do to further impact for our people, for my people. And by my people, I don't just mean black people, but anybody who's struggling, anyone who is from the bottom. That is what I care about. So through music, that's what I see music as a way to heal people, from a spiritual level, but also it's a way to create opportunity through business. I see film as a way, you just said, am I manifesting my way through film? I see film as an opportunity to show the world what it can be and not just what it is. It's a way to show people who don't have access to information, here's what you need to know.
That's good.
And so everything that I do is about impact. It's not about, I tell people I'm in this business for two reasons. It's to make money and to make an impact. Because you can't make an impact without having some money and having resources.
That's true, without having resources. Okay. I was ready to challenge you, but you're right. The hippie in me was like, really? Money first?
Hey, I mean, everything costs money.
But everything does, you're right. Yes, everything does cost money. Okay, so how did you Michael J. Payton. How old were you when you got the Murder Inc. opportunity? I just want to, before I ask my question, how old were you?
Yeah, I was at NYU. I was a grad student, so I must have been 2019. So I was 28.
You were 28.
I was 28 years old.
At 28 years old, Irv Gotti asked you to produce and direct a documentary based on the Murder Inc. Based on Murder Inc.
Yes.
How did that happen?
So it goes back to when I was making a pivot from music, right? I made the pivot from music in about 2016, 17. I start and this is around the time I was graduating college. I was trying to get a job out of college was like the worst experience ever. Like for those who are just getting out of college, that is a grind all to itself. I was knocking on every door. I was asking friends. I was going to old bosses. I had an internship. I was like, okay, well, this internship is going to turn into a job. They were like, no, sorry, we don't have anything for you.
Yeah, internships just be internships.
Yeah, really
was it a paid internship?
No.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm watching everyone else I'm seeing other people who are not working as hard as me, not as skilled as I am, getting opportunity, getting hired. At the same internship.
And this is outside of NYU.
This is before NYU.
This is before NYU.
I'm trying to get to how I got to NYU.
Okay.
So I said, man, you know what? I'm not waiting on anybody anymore to give me any opportunity because, I got dreams. I got things I need to accomplish. I gotta get this money. I gotta get these opportunities. I'm not waiting. So I started my own company. This is when around the time I started C-Suite Music, which started off as a really kind of an online magazine type of deal, but it shortly thereafter became a production company, folded in everything I was doing with these documentaries I was telling you about. And so I was like, I need something that's gonna make a splash. I need something that's gonna help put our name on the map as a brand. And so I got back to doing these documentaries. I took a little break from doing them for a while, but I got back to doing these YouTube documentaries. And I made one. I'd always been a big admirer of Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. and that whole era, the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s era of hip hop is, just something that's super inspirational to me. That's when you get the Jay-Z's, the Rockefellers, the Rough Riders, the Bad Boys, the Murder Inc., the Def Jams. And so it's like there was a time when there was a bunch of young black men who were, probably younger than where I was then, making millions and millions of dollars and moving into this corporate space for the first time ever because of hip hop. So just because of that alone, I was like, this is a story that I want to tell about Murder Inc. And so I made a 30-minute documentary. I produced it on my own, narrated it, edited it, put everything together. That was the first thing I did when I moved into my apartment in New York.
Wow. First
thing I did, put it up on YouTube at the end of 2018. By 2019, and just to even add even more layers to the story. So I put it up in October 2018. My mom passed away in March of 2019. 2 weeks later, we're at her funeral. I'm literally putting my mom into the ground. And that night, that very evening, I should say, after I leave the funeral, I get a text or a Instagram notification from people on Instagram saying, tagging me and saying, Irv Gotti is looking for you. Irv Gotti is looking for you. Everyone was at C-Suite Music. This is him. This is him. And I'm like, what's happening? And I go on, and Irv had made this huge post on his Instagram about whoever this guy named Michael Payton. Somebody needs to find him. He made this unauthorized documentary about me. But listen, y'all, it's good, and I want to work with him.
Wow.
And we connected that night. We started talking. We're texting.
You connected with Irv Gotti the night that you buried your mother?
That night. Yeah. And so,
Have you processed that day?
Yes and no. I really don't think I've had a chance to really fully process that because I was so distraught. And for that to happen, it was an immediate pick me up. And I was on this high ever since. Like from this was 4 years ago almost. So I've been on this incredible high. ever since, and it gave me something to look forward to. So I don't know if I gave myself the proper time to really grieve, because I went right from that into go mode. Okay, how do I make the most out of this opportunity? And it was a while. I mean, we didn't immediately make the Murder Inc. story.
Right.
It took 3 years, almost 3 years, for us to actually make it for it to air and everything else. But it was yeah. I never really fully processed that. I was immediately in go mode, immediately in okay. Let me. Thank you, God. Thank you, Mom, for providing me. I believe that opportunity is not just a coincidence, but so I said, okay, let me maximize this, and I had to deal with a lot of stuff in between. Then it was a lot of stuff in between that kept me very busy, you know, and just dealing with the idea, because he was like, I want you to direct my doc. And I was like, wait a minute, I've directed before, obviously, but directing a music video and directing, a documentary for TV.
For murder. Yeah, it's very different.
It's very, very different. But, and at the time we were going to do we were going to do it with Live Nation. I met with Live Nation. They liked me. I was approved by Michael Rapino and his team. And it was incredible. And then the pandemic happened. Then the pandemic happened and everything shut down because Live.
And how did you navigate through the pandemic then? Because you're on this, and that was only a year after your mom passed. Yeah. So now things do go to a standstill.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was, that was rough. That was rough because I had put so much stock into this, and, luckily I know how to pivot, and luckily I had my business and I was able to, actually, still make some money through making videos. I ended up working again with the Governor Gavin Newsom's office on a campaign that he was working, not for political campaign, but it was about disaster relief for people in marginalized communities. So they actually, they remember my work from when I was working for Governor Brown, and they were like, hey, can you come in? We would love to have you go up and down the state and make this docu-series for us. And thank God for that, because that definitely sustained me. I was able to, but that was still rough. It was rough. It was mentally, because you have people telling you, oh man, that's not going to happen. Oh, that stuff like that. And people were telling me this before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic, when I was on set making the documentary. People were still calling me from back home. Man, you ain't really gonna make
people.
This.
You were on set and people were calling. Why were you picking up?
I mean, I'm being okay. Facetious.
Well, let's tell the story the way it is.
I'm telling you the story, but I mean, I was in the middle of making the.
You were in the midst, and people were still
in the midst of making it, and people were still doubting me and doubting that how could someone like you get this opportunity? You don't, you're not even qualified. And I've had people, even while I'm making the damn movie, who basically were like, what are you doing here? How do you get opportunity to direct this? And
what was that like on set? Do you feel like you were ready for that opportunity?
Oh, I was absolutely, everything in my life prepared me for that opportunity. Everything in my life prepared me for that.
But were there days where you felt like, what the hell am I doing here?
No, I never for 1 second ever questioned why I was there. But understanding how to navigate other folks who don't think that you should be there in that spot. And by the way, I got to give a huge shout out to Irv, because he believed in me. He was like, you doing this, even when people were telling him, hey, why don't you think about getting another more seasoned director? And he was like, nah, I believe Michael can do it.
Wow.
He believed in me hard. So I have to and it's funny, and I know I'm going all over the place, but
you really are. It's okay.
I am. But I told you I came ready. I came ready.
I'm like, can I guide it, or are we just? This is the Michael. Welcome to Michael's Inside Out podcast. Welcome to Inside Out podcast. He's your host, Michael J. Payton,
featuring Yamoria Wright.
Featuring Yamoria Wright. On this episode of Inside Out podcast, Michael J. Payton is going to guide Yamoria.
Listen, but this is the, it's like when I get these streams of consciousness, I have to go with them, because at the end of the day, what I want people to get out of this interview, I know a lot of creatives, a lot of young folks who are trying to get their way into the business are watching this, right? And I want to share best I can of my experience and how things I've learned. And what I learned was one of the things I learned was that it took Irv, someone who was not from my circle, someone who I did not know Irv. I knew Irv through media and through studying and all that stuff.
And manifesting him by making a short documentary.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. But I didn't know Irv, right? Irv was not. He's not from the Bay, right? How many? I can't tell you how many legends and gatekeepers and folks that we have in the Bay that I've worked with or had interface with, and it's like people want to keep you at a certain level.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go outside of your hometown. Sometimes you have to go outside of your circle for someone to recognize you. And so, for folks out there listening, don't be afraid to step out. I left California, went to New York because it wasn't happening for me here. It wasn't like no one, my people in my own circle, quote unquote, they saw me as a resource, but they didn't necessarily see me as like the guy or the one that actually can be the one that flips the switch and put everyone wanted to be the chef in the kitchen, right? So it took for Irv Gotti, a legend, but someone who wasn't even from my circle, someone who wasn't from my hometown, to see it in me and give me the opportunity. And I gotta give respect to him. I gotta give respect to guys like him, to guys like Jay, who are always putting people on, and who I met, and instantly put me in touch with. Tell us about that story. And so I'm filming the Murder Ring story, and I get the incredible opportunity to interview Jay. And it was God, to this day I still remember everything about the day. I'm sure Jay don't remember nothing about it, but it was one of those days that I'm like, I knew I was going to say when I walked in there.
Were you sweaty? Were your palms sweating?
No,
because of course.
I know, but this was I will say this was the first time in a long time that I ever gotten nervous.
You were nervous, okay?
I was nervous before he walked in. I was like, we walked when he, it was chill after that, but I was really like, this is Jay. Like he's an icon. He's a legend. And I grew up. This guy is he's the blueprint for so many of us. And so I knew I was going to say to him the whole time. I had the whole speech written out in my head, and you know what it was? Thank you. That's all I said when I we shook hands. We introduced and everything, but I was like, Jay, thank you. And he was like, no, of course, whatever, anything for Irv. And I was like, no, not this. Thank you, because I'm here because of you. I'm a Sean Carter scholar, and if it wasn't for you and your foundation put me through school, I wouldn't be here right now. And it was just like, and we did the interview. It was amazing. And immediately after the interview, right after
So you told him that before the interview?
Yeah. After the interview, he picks up his phone and FaceTimes his mom and puts me on the. He's like, Mom, I got this guy. He came through the foundation. He's one of your students. Y'all got to meet. And he put us in contact, and we've been, in contact ever since. I've been doing work with the Sean Carter Foundation. And you want to talk about folks who really, see you. It speaks to, going outside of your box, going outside of your comfort zone. And, if I would have believed what was happening in my career, in my life in 2016, 2017, it was no way I could have ever been in the same room with Jay-Z. No way I could have ever be doing a documentary with Jay-Z or Irv Gotti or, sitting here on Inside Out podcast, living in Los Angeles. There's no literally understand because I know there's people out there right now feel completely hopeless. Like I don't see it. There's no pathway for me to get to and I'm telling you, in 2015, 2016, 17, there was no pathway for me to get to where I'm at now. There was none. I had no connections. I had no money. I had never even. I'm breaking some news, but I had never even been on a plane at 27 years old. I had never even been on a plane.
When was your first plane ride?
To LA.
To LA. Yeah. For?
When I was working in the governor's office. We had to do a thing out here with Disney. So
wow.
Yeah, but I just want people to understand that don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid to lean in to what it is that actually makes you, because that is going to open up so many doors. Don't worry about being both. I don't have this connection. I don't have this skill. I don't have just keep believing, and that belief is that's everything right there. That's everything in my life.
So you have people around you though, who maybe didn't believe. You said there were some people that were like, that's not going to really happen. Oh, did that change? Because sometimes people, I know there's the idea of like, I'm going to make it, I'm going to do the big thing, and then people are going to see. But does it really change how people show up for you? Or does it make you seem like more of a resource now?
Absolutely and absolutely. It absolutely changed the way people see me.
Okay.
And I won't say, listen, I had people who really did believe, who really have always believed in me. But
the people that didn't believe in you, did they start to believe in you?
They absolutely did. But
Okay.
I don't want to go like, hey, no one believed in me. Some people did. It was like
Of course.
far, but it was a lot of people who didn't. And for those who didn't and those who don't, they absolutely see you. First, it's, hey man, I always knew it. Folks who would unfriend me or just didn't see me as necessary. I mean, not for any reason. I wasn't.
Right. There's no reason to follow you. What am I following you for? What does he do?
Nothing.
All of a sudden they're in your DMs and they go to that bonus inbox that people
they're in the request. Yeah. But yeah, it absolutely changed. And now all of a sudden they always knew. I see you, bruh. Oh man, all of a sudden I'm a little more handsome than I used to be.
Is that you projecting that, or are the people saying that?
No, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you how I feel.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm more handsome. I've always been handsome, but I'm saying now all of a sudden the attention is different. The it's just a different vibe. And so you beat one level, to use a game analogy. You beat one level, and that's the people back home who don't believe or who whatever see you as a resource. Then you get in this business. And then you really, being thrown into a senior level position as a director or producer for a major network, that's, it's a lot. A lot comes with that.
Well, my dad says new levels bring new devils.
Oh, absolutely. You were absolutely
Which I think is what all the church people say. Before we segue, Michael, what does August 9th, 2022 mean to you?
Well, August 9th is a big deal because that's, for one, it's my grandmother's birthday. It's also the day that I launched C-Suite Music 6-7 years ago now, in 2016. And it's also the day that The Murdering Story debuted on network TV on BET.
Did you connect all of those things immediately?
Oh, immediately. Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. I mean, it was.
And they set the air date too.
They set the air. No one. It was supposed to be in June at first. It got pushed, and somehow it just miraculously ended on August 9th. So that's it's very special.
It seems like you've got. I mean, you've got a lot of angels. Like you've got a lot of angels and a lot of protection. There's a lot of synchronicity that happens in your life, which I don't want to say that it doesn't happen in others' lives. I'm not sure how many people have stopped enough to really pay attention to that, because we do those tiny whispers, as Oprah says, they do happen. But yours are a little bit, they're not whispers, it's pretty loud coincidences that happen in your life. What do you think that's about?
I think it's about what I said earlier about being in alignment, or being on your own path and cutting out all the noise and not being put in a box. And
I'm talking about the alignment though. What do you think that alignment is?
The alignment, I think we all have that alignment if we could cut out the noise, if we get right to what makes us go, right? Like, so I think that I think it's me being super intentional about my purpose. I'm very intentional about my purpose. I wake up every day. I brush my teeth. I wash my face. I think about.
We hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think about.
It's always there.
It's always about I don't allow myself to get distracted by trends or what other people may think or say or any of that. I am on a mission to impact this world, and it's beyond anything now. It's beyond me. It's not. It's it's above me now. It's above me. It's not. But I believe that I'm here. And I think we all are here. We all have a purpose. We all have our skills, our things that makes us, contribute what we're put here to contribute. And I'm laser focused on that. And that's only come through time and experience and, trials and tribulations. I would not be there's no way I could have handled what I'm dealing with now if I was younger. If I got what I wanted when I wanted it at the time I wanted when I was younger, I would have effed it up.
So Murder Inc., I saw it. Yeah. So I saw it because Michael had reached out to me. I believe my date would have been September 19th or 20th, 2022. So about a month and a half after Murder Inc. doc came out. You had emailed me, and I thought that it was not real because he was like, I'm Michael J. Payton, director of the Murder Inc. doc on BET. You listed some more of your credits, and you reached out to me about directing a documentary. We won't say much more about that, but it was a documentary, and we were working with Melissa Ford. Well, you were working with Melissa Ford, and we started to work together on this project. So I can attest to the fact that you really do care about providing opportunities to people, like you said. How important have women been with regards to your career, and also with regards to, because you're in position. You know what I mean? Now, you might not be exactly where you want to be, but you're in position. There's certain privileges that you have, but you still see and provide those opportunities to women. How do you get out of your own way and the ego that you could have to provide opportunities for women?
Well, other than taking over your interview,
which he did and did.
No. I'll say all that I am is because of Black women. Period. Like all the good that is in me is because of women. Black women in particular, but it's always been a woman somewhere in the mid. I mean, start with my mother, who is my guardian angel, who is, we all think our moms are the best moms in the world, but my mom was truly, she was my biggest fan, my biggest cheerleader. She believed in me when no one else did. She provided space for me to actually create. When I wanted to be in my room all day working on my computer, working on making beats, and probably driving her crazy, and having people coming in and out the house that she didn't like. Who are all these characters coming in? She was, she believed in me 100. If I said I wanted to be an astronaut, she would have bought me a ticket to space. Like she was that. I've had incredible teachers and my professors. One particular, I think, I got to shout her out. Dr. Donna Lissa Fisher of SF State. She is a dynamic, incredible woman who actually is how I actually started my first business. She taught me how to start a business. She walked me through the steps of starting an LLC and all that stuff, and that's when I started my first business in 2022. I've always, I can go on and on and on, but there's always women there and who've made me who I am. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm always gonna be looking to put, use whatever platform I have to put women in position or to help elevate. One of the reasons I was working with Melissa Ford, to give a little context on that, I interviewed her for the Murder Inc. story. We were, I had her talking about the early years as being a woman in the industry in that volatile era, and we got to talking off camera, and we just and she was like, you get it, and she, we came up with this idea to do a documentary about women in the industry, and when it came down, we were like right there, and we were like, okay, we need to have a female direct this, like we need to have a woman lens looking at this. And that's when I went on the hunt. I interviewed some folks for it, but then I somehow miraculously came across your Instagram, and then I reached out to you. I'm like, oh, she can. I had saw your stuff, and I love my roomie. I think you was running some promo about Don't Be Desperate too. I feel like
for sure.
I seen all that stuff, and I was like, oh, she can. Okay, all right. And then so we connected, and we've been rocking ever since. That project, I don't know where that project is right now.
Listen, but there's been other opportunities
Absolutely.
to collaborate, and things come full circle, as is very clear in your life. Things come full circle. So now, I was working with you. I don't knowing how things be manifested in your life. Next thing I know, I'm gonna be directing a whole documentary, and it's gonna be the same day that you first reached out to me, and it's gonna be all these things that are in sync. How do you feel? In what ways, I should say, do you feel you are currently honoring the legacy of your mother?
Every single thing I do. I said at her funeral, I said, I had 28 years of grace of having her presence in my life, and it was all about me. Everything was all about me. I was admittedly, when you look back at it, very selfish, because everything was about my dreams and what I wanted. I want to move to New York. I want to do this, and she died of natural causes, but in my mind, she gave her life for me. Like, she literally gave her life, because she sacrificed everything for me. At some point, she stopped working. She stopped dating. She stopped doing anything that really. I became her entire life to make sure that she raised me right, to make sure that I came out to be just a smidget of what of good, whatever good I am is because of her. And so I said, I had 28 years of grace. Now everything else belongs to the universe. I don't belong to myself anymore. Everything I'm doing is for her legacy, and she put me here to do great things and to help people and to be of service, and that's what it's all about. So every single thing that I do is big. Like I said, it's bigger than just making films for me. I'm not one of these people who sat there and studied Martin Scorsese, and I'm like, I'm just this big film buff. I'm just somebody who has these ideas, very specific, very intentional ideas about why I take the projects I take, why I want to do what I want to do, and what the ultimate goal is to, we want to change the world. We really want to change the world, or at least be a part of that vibration that helps to change the world.
I love that, be a part of that vibration.
So that's what it is. So that's how I think I'm honoring her legacy.
It's great, Michael. Well, before we close, I got to ask, hurt, heal, joy. What's currently hurting you? What do you want to heal? And what brings you joy?
Well, my back, I got, being 30. Something is not
30. You was over 30.
Okay.
Quiet as a skip.
I'm 33. I'm in my crisis.
That is your Jesus year. It's a good year.
Hurting.
Hurt, heal, joy.
Hurt, heal, joy. I think what hurts is how hard this stuff is. Like, it's not hurting in that regard, but it's not easy. This thing it's not easy. I think there's an assumption that comes along with, oh, you live in, you're this Hollywood director, or you're doing this, and it's not easy. It's like this on your soul, on your heart. It can be very taxing sometimes. Sometimes you don't know who your friends are. You don't know who you can trust. I'll tell you, you get into this business, and when you're first coming on the scene, people see you. You leave behind the people back home. Or not, you don't leave behind, I'm sorry, but you kind of get past that point of, like, people don't believe in me back home. People believe in you back home now. And now you're in this new space. And now you're a resource in this space. And you have people on your line, people who are legends, people who are in this business who you think you can trust. Or, you think they have some credibility. And they'll use you. They'll get what they need to get from you when they think that you can do something for them. And the minute that you are no longer a resource for them, we're sorry, this number has been disconnected. They're left on red, or so that's something I've had to get used to. Like, this Hollywood thing is very different. Like, it's not. I'm not like this. I'm a real person. I see value in every single person I see. Like, every single person. I don't care if you're a custodian. I don't care if you're the Lyft driver. I don't care which. We all have value. There's no way that I could see somebody who is trying and walk past them or not say hi back or until you find out. I did this thing with such and such and such. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. And so that gets very tiresome. So that's. I don't want to say, I guess it's a hurt, but it's,
what do you want to heal?
That.
Okay.
No. I mean, yeah, I think I'm in the process of healing from that whole, like, getting over the you work so hard for something and you get to it and it's not what you think it is. People aren't who you think they are. So I'm healing from, this rose-colored glasses, I guess, that I once had. And it's a good thing. It feels good. It feels great to just be, and I guess it gets to my next point, the joy, right? It feels great to just be me, to be able to know, like, what actually makes me happy. I don't have to be at every industry party. I'm barely outside, to be honest with you. I'm not outside. Like, it's Oscar week coming up. I don't know if I'm going to any Oscar stuff. I don't know if I'm going. I don't want to have to need that, because I know how it's so tiresome to be around all that fakeness and to be around people who only want to get something out of you. My blessings don't come from this industry. My blessings don't come from. I didn't come up through a group or a collective or having a mentor. I didn't come up from that. I came up through through God, my own will, my own pulling myself up by my own bootstraps, as they say. Like, so I don't feel like I need this business.
Yeah.
The business needs me. I don't need this business. I don't need to bump heads, rough shoulders and elbows, and such and such is going to be at the party. Okay, tell them have a good time. I'm so happy, and that's what brings me joy. Sitting, taking a walk, going out, and I love working out. Training and working out is like a big thing for me, and cooking and just being healthy and being in my own space and creating opportunities for other people, building a business, building opportunities, connecting the dots, making it, knowing that the work that I am doing is making an impact. That's what brings me joy, not this fake business. Not, I'm kind of I'm glad that I'm growing up and I'm healing past that. So that's awesome. Heart, heal, joy.
Well, thank you, Michael. Where can we follow you, support you, etc.? Let the people know.
You can follow me on Instagram at C-Suite Music. I'm sure they'll put it down here somewhere.
He knows, y'all. He created them lower thirds.
You can, just search my name. You'll find something on me, and
you'll find. Well, Michael, you'll find something on me. No, Michael, thank you so much for this conversation. This has been great. This would be, if it were Oprah, it would be an Oprah's masterclass. When it's just a single camera, the person just talking to the camera. Yeah. That's this episode. But no, it's been so great holding space for you, and you really sharing so many jewels, and really just being able to share space with you as you ran down not just your career journey, but your life journey, and how you are in gratitude for all that you have. So I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. Y'all make sure you follow Michael. Make sure you follow Inside Out Podcast. Subscribe to Inside Out Podcast on YouTube. If y'all are listening to this episode, I suggest you watch it. Watching it is a totally different experience. Also, if you prefer to listen, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. And make sure that you leave comments, let us know what you think. Go ahead and slide in Michael's DMs. Let him know what you think. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your insight and the wisdom you've gathered so far in this 33 years of your life on this planet.
Thank you, Yamoria.
You're welcome. Bye, y'all. Wait. Before you go, don't forget to like this episode. Give it a thumbs up or a heart, depending on where you're watching or listening, and comment. I will continue the conversation with you in the comments, and be sure to subscribe wherever you watch or listen to Inside Out Podcast. You can catch Inside Out Podcast on YouTube. Of course, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio. And y'all, that is not it. If you really love you some Inside Out Podcast, there is a Patreon community just for you. For only $15 per month, you can join the Patreon as a member. And every 3 months, I will send you some Inside Out Podcast swag, y'all. Yes, straight from the Inside Out Podcast store, just for showing us some love. You can, of course, follow Inside Out Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for showing us love, and stay tuned for the next episode.